We're going to be looking at 10 controversial situations in which the asshole is unknown, and so it's up to us to decide who the asshole is. So let's do this. This is taken from the subreddit, Am I the Asshole? You may have heard of it before. Let's see what we have. Okay, so Mike downloads an episode of Game of Thrones to his laptop to watch on a plane ride. The woman behind him, Holly, asked him to turn it off because her small child can see. Mike says no. Who's the asshole? So I've actually never seen Game of Thrones, so I don't know like how vulgar it is. I'm assuming it's like rated TVMA if this person's freaking out about it. I'm pretty sure they have a few sex scenes in it, so depending on what the scene is, I could definitely see where Holly is coming from here. I mean, in Mike's defense, a plane ride is really boring, and he's downloading one of the greatest shows of all time to hopefully catch up on, and now he has to turn it off because the small child can see. I mean, how is she able to see his screen anyways? Is she like peeking through the seat? And it's not like Mike's not going to be using headphones. I'm assuming the audio is not playing out loud. But then again, I mean, Mike probably could have handled this better. Like, he could have maneuvered the laptop so it's at least out of sight of Holly's daughter. This is a weird situation because I don't think anybody's really an asshole here. We actually do get the option to say neither of them, so I'm going to go ahead and say neither of them. Most people say that Holly's the asshole. Interesting. I guess you're an it's just like Holly's a Karen. Holly's just a classic Karen. All right, next up, it's Dave and Pat's anniversary, and Pat cooks a romantic dinner. Pat knows that Dave hates mushrooms, but he insists this mushroom chicken will be delicious. Dave refuses to eat it and says Pat should have made something else. Who's the asshole? Okay, so Pat is definitely not an asshole because Pat is doing something nice. Pat is actively cooking a meal. And yeah, granted, Dave doesn't like mushrooms, but you're not an asshole for trying to make Dave like mushrooms. If you really believe in the dish, as every good chef knows, you go for it. But this is where Dave becomes an asshole. So he refuses to eat it, and that's one thing. If you don't like mushrooms, that's fine. But then you tell Pat you should have made something else. Now telling somebody who's giving you a gift that you should have been getting something else, it just comes off as extremely ungrateful. It's like you get a nice present for Christmas, but since it doesn't align with exactly what you want, you like tell the person they should have got you a different gift. Like, no, it's a gift. Dave's an asshole. How do 53% of people think that Pat's an asshole? He was cooking a dinner for Dave. Okay, next up, Frankie's boyfriend Jonah is really into gaming. When he buys the new Animal Crossing, Frankie says she'd love to play with him so they can spend time together. Jonah says no, she'll mess up his island. Frankie is offended. Who's the asshole? That's such a gamer move. Okay, so first off, Jonah's definitely not an asshole. You have your island, you spend a lot of time on it, you're not trying to have it ruined just from like a girlfriend. I don't think Frankie's necessarily an asshole either because she just doesn't understand it. Animal Crossing specifically requires a lot of maintenance, and she's gonna be like picking apples and oranges off the tree, not realizing they're like rare fruits. I kind of stand with Jonah here. I think Frankie's being a bit of an asshole. Watch me be completely wrong. How do 75% of people think that Jonah's being an asshole? He's trying to protect his island that he presumably spent hours upon building. All right, I guess I'm 0 for 3 with the public. Phil and Lil go to a holiday party. Phil eats meat but doesn't like any of the dishes except for the vegetarian one. Lil thinks that Phil should save that food for vegetarian guests like her. Phil says that's dumb, there's plenty. Who's the asshole? I think Lil's the asshole for trying to monitor Phil. Phil's just trying to like eat a dish that he wants to eat, and he says there's plenty. How is he an asshole if he's just eating? It's like if you have like a giant bowl of salad that won't run out and she's getting mad at him for eating the salad. Phil's not a carnivore. He still enjoys vegetarian dishes. I'm not even reading too into this. I think Lil is 100% wrong here. If the internet doesn't side with me on this one, I have lost all hope in humanity. Okay, that one was a gimme. All right, let's see. We have Al babysits his 1-year-old granddaughter, Tina, and decides to take her to see Santa at the mall for the first time. Tina's mom, Linda, is upset and says that she should have been the one to take her. Al says it's no big deal. Who's the asshole? Now, the issue I have with Linda's position is not once did she say to her father, hey, I want to be the first one to take her to the mall. So in Al's eyes, he's just doing something very nice with his granddaughter. So for Linda to be upset at that seems to me a bit selfish. Also, Tina is literally 1 year old. I promise you she won't remember this. I don't think you have memories until you're like 3 years old. But I don't think anybody's really an asshole here. How do 51% of people think that Al is being an asshole? I really don't understand people. All right, next up, Lola and Tiny, interesting name, broke up but remain close friends. Lola posts a throwback photo of her and Tiny's Disneyland trip. Not a romantic pic, but they were dating at the time. His new girlfriend, Shay, asked her to take it down. Lola says no. Who's the asshole? So right off the bat, Lola's the asshole to me. I don't think Shay is being unreasonable to ask her to take it down. I mean, of course, Lola doesn't have to comply, but it seems like Shay didn't make a big deal, just asked her to take the picture down because, of course, she's dating Tiny, and she doesn't want the public to think that there's stuff going on in the background. It's just one of those things, like when you break up with somebody, you shouldn't be posting pictures of the past like that. All right, this is easy, Lola. Of course, I'm probably not going to be siding with the public here. Yeah. This is so ridiculous. Okay, so Blair makes her friend Jen the maid of honor for her wedding. However, Jen has a large tattoo on her arm that Blair finds distasteful. She asks Jen to cover it up during the wedding and wear a dress with sleeves. Jen says no. Who's the asshole? Okay, Blair is the asshole here because you can't be doing that. It's like you're friends with her and you were okay with being friends with her, but now that it comes to like this ceremony, now all of a sudden you have qualms with what she's done to herself. I think Jen's in the right to say no. What if it's a meaningful tattoo? Like if I had a friend that had like a neck tattoo and he was like my best man, I wouldn't ask him to wear a turtleneck. Just seems like a pretty absurd request. So let's go ahead and say Blair. Cool. Francine and Brian are having a baby girl. Francine wants to name their daughter Karen after her late grandmother. Brian thinks that people might make fun of the name because of the meme and says no. Francine is offended. Who's the asshole? Okay, so I see where Brian's coming from. He doesn't want to set his daughter up for being memed on and dunked on constantly. Oh, Karen's being a Karen. I could already see it, like, definitely not the greatest name in 2022. But also, like, Brian's got to understand that if he's going to let a meme define his daughter's name, then he's probably done a bad job as a father, so I think Francine's totally in the right. She has every right to be offended if it's after her late grandmother. Like, why does meme culture own a name? I think Brian's being pretty unreasonable here, and I'm going to go ahead and say Brian's being a massive asshole. All right, apparently everybody's on Brian's side. The thing they don't understand is that meme is going to be dead in like 3 to 5 years. So by the time that the baby actually gets to an age where she's socializing, nobody's going to even remember the Karen meme. Okay, it's Pam's birthday. Her husband, James, surprises her by cleaning the whole house while she's at work. Sounds nice. He says it's her birthday gift. Pam is kind of disappointed in the gift, and James is surprised. Okay, cleaning the house should never be a gift. I'm assuming this is their shared house too, because it sounds like they live together if they're married. James basically cleaning the house and using that as a cop-out for a gift. Pam has every single right to be offended in this situation, and I think James is a massive asshole for trying to spin this as a gift. If James isn't a 75% asshole here, then this quiz is so dumb. 45%. Somehow 30% of people think Pam's being an asshole here. All right, last but not least, Jules offers to treat Rue to lunch. Jules buys a large order of wings to share, and they eat at her house. Rue takes the leftovers home without telling Jules. Jules thinks this is rude, but Rue says she thought it was her treat. Who's the asshole? First of all, if you fight over leftovers, like who's bringing back 2 or 3 wings, you probably have a really unstable friendship to begin with. Like, it's such a petty thing to get offended over who's deciding to bring the wings home. God, I think in this situation, like, they're both assholes because only assholes would fight over leftover wings. I don't even want to read too into it. I don't care at all, really. So unfortunately, I didn't side with the public too much on these situations, but hopefully I sided with you guys, so let me know in the comments what you thought of these situations. Also, consider subscribing if you enjoyed, and let me know if you want to see more of these videos, but in the meantime, if you'd like to go down a nice little rabbit hole, here's a video on the Mandela effect.